The signal. The deep silence of space stretched around the small human ship. Inside the cabin, only the sound of steady machines and soft breathing could be heard. Ethan Cole, a human engineer, sat alone at the control panel, his eyes heavy but alert. Weeks had passed since he had spoken to another living soul. Loneliness had become his only companion. Then, something strange happened. A faint noise crackled through the ship's old communication system. At first, it was only static, a broken whisper lost in the emptiness. Ethan leaned forward, adjusting the controls, his heart beating faster. The sound grew clearer, and then he heard it. "Human, please hold me. I don't want to die alone." Ethan froze. His hand stopped over the console. The words were soft, trembling, and filled with fear. But what shook him more was that the voice did not sound human. It carried an echo, a tone that felt alien, otherworldly. Still, the message was desperate, begging, almost like a child in pain. He replayed the signal again. The same words, the same sadness. Ethan whispered to himself, What is this?" He checked the coordinates. The signal was coming from a sector marked as empty. No colonies, no stations, nothing but cold space. Every instinct told him to ignore it. It could be a trap, it could be pirates, or worse. But something deep inside pulled at him. He knew the sound of real fear. He had heard it long ago, during the war, when soldiers begged for help. This voice felt the same. Ethan set his jaw and changed the ship's course. The engines rumbled to life, pushing him toward the unknown. The journey was slow, each second stretching with suspense. As he neared the source, the signal grew stronger. The words repeated again and again. "Human, please hold me. I don't want to die alone." The darkness outside his window felt heavier now. Shadows of asteroids drifted past like silent watchers. His ship shook lightly as it passed through debris fields. And then, in the distance, he saw it. A massive silhouette floating without power. An alien vessel, broken and scarred. Ethan's breath caught. The ship was unlike anything he had seen. Its body curved like flowing metal, glowing faintly with dying energy. Parts of it looked torn apart, as if it had been in a battle. No lights, no movement, no signs of life. Only silence. He slowed his ship and activated the scanners. The computer struggled to read the alien design. But one thing was clear. There was only one life sign, weak and fading. Ethan swallowed hard. Someone or something was still alive inside. The voice echoed again through his cabin. Fainter now, almost like a sigh. "Please hold me. I don't want to die alone." Ethan felt his chest tighten. He could feel the pain in the words. It was not a soldier, not a monster, not an enemy. It was simply someone afraid of dying in the dark. He stared at the alien ship. His mind raced. Should he dock? Should he risk everything to step inside? What if it was dangerous? What if it was a trap? But another thought pressed into his heart. What if it was real? What if this being truly did not want to die alone? He remembered his own past. Nights alone in the war. Friends lost. Voices silenced forever. He had once wished for someone to stay by his side too. And now, maybe this alien wished the same. Ethan exhaled slowly. His decision was made. He activated the docking sequence. The ship trembled as it connected with the alien vessel. The sound of metal against metal echoed in the silence. His hands shook as he reached for his helmet. Every step he took toward the airlock felt heavier. The door opened with a hiss. Darkness greeted him, thick and endless. He turned on his light, the beam cutting through dust and shadows. The alien ship's hull stretched before him, broken wires hanging like lifeless vines. The air was thin, stale, filled with the scent of burned metal. But the voice still called, distant, guiding him deeper. "Human, please hold me." Ethan's heartbeat thundered in his chest. He took a cautious step forward. The sound of his boots echoed through the silent corridor. He knew he was walking into the unknown. But he also knew one truth. He could not turn back now. The voice of the alien pulled him like a thread. Fear and curiosity mixed in his blood. He whispered softly to himself, "All right, I'm here, whoever you are." And with that, Ethan stepped deeper into the ship. The darkness swallowed him. The voice grew closer, trembling with both fear and hope. And in that moment, Ethan realized this was only the beginning. The derelict ship, the airlock behind Ethan sealed shut with a heavy clang. The sound echoed down the hollow corridor of the alien vessel. For a moment, silence returned, pressing against his ears like a weight. Only the faint hum of his suit systems kept him company. He raised his wrist light, and the beam cut through the darkness. The alien ship looked like no human design. The walls were smooth, curved, almost like bone instead of metal. Symbols glowed faintly along the surface, pulsing like a dying heartbeat. Wires hung down like veins, some sparking weakly. The floor was cracked, pieces of metal floating gently in the low gravity. Ethan's breath fogged the inside of his helmet. Every step he took echoed too loudly. His instinct screamed at him to turn back. But the signal, the voice, still whispered in his memory. "Human, please hold me. I don't want to die alone." He followed the weak signal on his scanner. The device flickered, showing the faint life sign deeper inside the ship. The corridors twisted and curved, like a labyrinth designed to confuse intruders. His light revealed doors that had melted shut, hallways crushed by impact. The ship looked like it had fought a war and lost. At one intersection, Ethan stopped. His light caught strange shapes on the walls. He moved closer and saw carvings. Not random marks, but careful patterns. The designs looked like stories. Figures with glowing hands, others with wings of light. A history scratched into the very skin of the ship. But much of it was broken, scarred by fire and time. He whispered to himself, this wasn't just a warship, it was a home. The thought made the silence heavier. Suddenly, a metallic groan echoed down the hall. Ethan spun around, light flashing across the empty corridor. His heart thudded in his chest. But nothing moved, only drifting dust. He forced his legs forward, each step slower than the last. As he went deeper, the damage grew worse. Bulkheads twisted, wires torn out, pieces of strange furniture floated weightlessly. He passed what looked like a large hall. Rows of seats carved into the floor, shattered screens still hanging above. This must have been a gathering place once. Now it was only a tomb. The scanner beeped weakly. The life sign was close. Ethan felt his throat tighten. Somewhere in this ruin, something still breathed. Then the voice returned, this time faint but clearer. "Human, please. I can feel you, don't leave me." The words sent a chill through him. It was not just a broadcast anymore. It was like the voice was reaching directly into the air around him. He tightened his grip on his tool belt and kept moving. He reached a broken door. Half of it hung loose, sparks dancing from the edges. Beyond it, the corridor opened into a massive chamber. Ethan stepped inside and gasped. The room stretched wide, like a cathedral. The ceiling rose high with arcs of glowing crystal. But most of them were shattered, pieces floating like frozen stars. In the center of the chamber stood a large pod, cracked and dim. And from inside came the faint glow of life. Ethan's light touched the pod's surface. It was transparent in places, and he saw movement. Something shifted inside, slow and weak. A fragile hand pressed against the glass, glowing faintly with veins of light. The hand trembled as if it had no strength left. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. This was it, the source of the voice. The alien was alive but trapped. He moved closer, boots clicking against the metal floor. The voice came again, but now it was softer, like someone speaking through water. "Human, I feel you near. Please don't go." Ethan stood frozen. Every instinct screamed at him to back away. The alien form inside was strange. Too thin, too tall, its skin covered in glowing lines like rivers of fire. Its face was hidden by shadow, and yet the fear in its voice was clear. He raised his hand slowly and touched the pod's surface. The glass was cold, trembling with faint vibrations. The alien's hand pressed weakly against his. Through the barrier, their hands almost met, and for a brief second, Ethan felt something impossible. A warmth, like the echo of another mind brushing against his. He staggered back. What are you?" he whispered. But the alien only whispered back, "Please stay." The lights above flickered violently. The entire ship groaned, metal twisting somewhere far away. Ethan looked around, panic rising. The ship was dying. If he stayed too long, he could die with it. But if he left now, the alien would be alone in its final moments. The pod hissed weakly, releasing a cloud of cold mist. The alien coughed, a sound strange and hollow. Its glowing eyes flickered open, and for the first time, Ethan saw them. They were not monstrous. They were full of sorrow, fear, and something he recognized all too well: loneliness. The scanner beeped again. The life sign was fading fast. Ethan's chest tightened. This was not a monster. This was someone who just did not want to die alone. He stood at the edge of choice. The silence of the great chamber pressing down on him. Every second mattered now. And Ethan knew one thing for certain. His journey had only just begun. The encounter. The chamber was cold and vast, but all of Ethan's attention stayed fixed on the pod. The alien's glowing eyes blinked slowly, struggling to stay open. Its weak hand pressed against the glass again, trembling like it carried the weight of 1,000 years. Ethan could feel his own pulse racing in his throat. Fear mixed with pity, making it hard to breathe. The alien whispered once more, voice broken and full of pain, "Human, please don't leave me." The words carried no threat, no anger, only a quiet plea. Ethan took a cautious step closer, his light washing over the alien's thin frame. He could see now that its chest rose and fell unevenly. Each breath looked like a battle. The pod let out a sharp hiss as a crack spread across its surface. Ethan jumped back, raising his hands. The glass groaned, split, and finally gave way with a heavy snap. Cold mist poured out, rolling across the floor like ghostly smoke. The alien slumped forward, collapsing half out of the pod. Ethan's heart pounded. Instinct told him to run, but his body refused to move. The alien lay on the floor, breathing shallow. Its skin glowed faintly, lines of light running across its body like rivers of fire. Its limbs were long and fragile, but its face surprised him. Not monstrous, not terrifying, but strangely graceful. Two eyes, too large for its face, looked up at him. They shimmered with fear, but also with something more: hope. "Please," the alien whispered again, its voice weaker now. "Hold me. I don't want to be alone." Ethan felt a wave of guilt crash over him. This creature had no weapons, no strength left. It wasn't a soldier. It wasn't a predator. It was simply dying. He crouched down slowly, keeping his hands where the alien could see them. "I'm here," Ethan said softly. His own voice sounded strange inside his helmet, shaky but gentle. The alien blinked slowly, its glowing eyes fixed on him. It reached out a trembling hand. For a moment, Ethan hesitated. Then, against every instinct that screamed about danger, he reached forward and took it. The alien's skin felt warm, almost too warm. The glowing veins pulsed faintly under its surface. The moment their hands touched, Ethan felt something impossible. A sudden rush of images flickered in his mind. A battlefield under strange skies, ships burning, voices crying. Then silence, endless silence. The alien's loneliness pressed into his thoughts like a storm. He pulled back, gasping. What was that?" he whispered. The alien's lips trembled. "You felt me," it said weakly. Ethan shook his head, confused and shaken. "You showed me," he whispered. The alien's hand tightened weakly around his. It coughed, glowing blood spilling from its mouth. "Not long, please stay." Ethan's eyes burned. This was no monster, no enemy. It was a living soul begging for the simplest thing: to not die alone. He knelt beside it, supporting its fragile frame as it tried to sit up. The alien leaned against him, its weight surprisingly light. Its body trembled with every shallow breath. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence of the chamber surrounded them. Only the faint hum of failing power filled the air. Ethan's mind raced. Could he save it? Could his ship's medkit help? But even as he thought it, he knew the truth. This being was already too far gone. What mattered now was not survival, but presence. The alien tilted its head, its glowing eyes searching his face. "You are human," it said softly, almost like a statement of wonder. Ethan nodded. "Yes, I'm human." The alien's lips curved faintly, almost like a smile. "Warm one, I knew you would come." Those words cut deep. Ethan had never thought of himself as warm. Years of war, years of isolation in space, had made him cold inside. But to this dying stranger, his presence meant warmth. It meant hope. He held the alien's hand tighter. "You're not alone," Ethan whispered. The alien closed its eyes, breathing, slowing. Its glowing skin flickered, dimming for a moment before returning. "Thank you," it whispered, so faintly Ethan almost missed it. Suddenly, the ship groaned again. A deep metallic scream rolled through the walls. Ethan looked up, his scanner flashing warnings. The vessel was collapsing, systems failing. He had to move, but the alien clung to his hand weakly. "Please don't leave me." Ethan's throat tightened. If he ran now, he would survive, but he knew he couldn't, not after seeing its eyes, not after feeling its loneliness. He steadied his voice. "I'm not leaving," he said firmly. "Not until the end." The alien's body shook with another cough. It leaned closer, resting its head against his chest plate. Its glowing eyes fluttered weakly. "You are different," it whispered. "Different from my kind." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" he asked quietly. But the alien was fading. Its words broke apart, soft and fragile. "Your kind, you feel for others, even the ones not your own." Ethan felt his chest ache. He squeezed its hand tighter. "I'm here," he whispered again. The alien's breathing slowed. Its glow pulsed faintly like the last light of a dying star. The chamber around them creaked. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. But Ethan didn't move. He held the alien close. And in that fragile silence, he understood something new. This was not just an encounter. It was a crossing of two souls. Different worlds, different bodies, but the same fear, the same need. Neither wanted to die alone. And in this dark, broken ship, for the first time, neither of them had to. The connection. The chamber felt quieter now, as if even the dying ship was holding its breath. Ethan stayed on his knees, the alien's frail body leaning against his chest plate. Its hand still clung weakly to his, glowing veins pulsing faintly under the skin. The human could hear his own heartbeat echoing inside his helmet. Fear had not left him, but something stronger was taking root. Compassion. The alien opened its glowing eyes again, tired but aware. "You stayed," it whispered, voice thin as smoke. Ethan nodded slowly. "I said I wouldn't leave." The alien blinked, long and heavy. "No one ever stays," it murmured. Its words struck Ethan like a blade. How many times had this being begged before? How many had turned away? Ethan's scanner flickered red again, warning that the life sign was fading. But the alien shifted weakly, trying to sit more upright. Ethan supported its back, surprised at how light it felt. It was like holding a shadow, a fragile figure of light and bone. Still, when it spoke, there was weight in its words. "My kind do not wait for the weak," it said slowly. "They move on, they survive, they leave behind the fallen." The alien's voice trembled, not just from pain, but from memory. Ethan frowned. "You mean they abandoned you?" The alien's glowing eyes turned away. "They call it mercy, not to watch one fade." Ethan felt anger stir in his chest. "That's not mercy," he said firmly. "That's leaving someone to die alone." The alien's lips curved faintly, almost like a bitter smile. "Humans speak with fire. You burn for others, even strangers." It lifted its weak hand, trembling as it brushed against Ethan's helmet. "You are warm ones." I knew it was true. The words sank deep into Ethan's mind. Warm ones? He had never thought of himself that way. Out here in the void, alone for weeks, he had felt cold, hollow. But to this dying stranger, his presence was warmth. And in that moment, he realized the alien wasn't asking for a savior. It was asking for company, for the small mercy of not fading alone. The alien coughed, glowing blood dripping down its chin. Ethan instinctively pulled a claw from his belt and wiped it away. The alien stared at the simple act, as if no one had ever done such a thing for it. Its voice shook. Why do you care?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Because I know what it feels like," he whispered. "I've lost people. I've been left behind too." The alien's eyes widened faintly. It reached again, pressing its glowing fingers weakly against his hand. And once more, Ethan felt that strange rush. Images burst into his mind, not violent this time, but sorrowful. A crew of shining beings, their voices bright with song. A journey across stars. Then fire, weapons tearing through their vessel, screams, chaos. And then silence. The alien curled in darkness, waiting for death, waiting for anyone to stay. Ethan gasped as the vision faded, his chest heavy with the weight of it. The alien's voice was trembling when it spoke. "Now you see." Ethan nodded slowly, his throat too tight for words. He did see. And it hurt more than he expected. The chamber creaked again, dust falling from the ceiling. The ship was falling apart, but Ethan didn't move. He sat with the alien, holding its hand. In this broken place, they shared stories without speaking. His silence said, "I will not abandon you." Its silence said, "I trust you to stay." The alien tilted its head, glowing eyes dimming but gentle. "What do humans fear the most?" it asked softly. Ethan paused, thinking. Finally, he whispered, "Losing others, being alone." The alien let out a weak, shaking breath. Then, "We are the same." The words hung in the air like a fragile truth. Two different worlds, two different species, yet bound by the same wound. Loneliness. It was not about war, not about survival, not about enemies. It was about the simple wish no being could escape, the wish to not face the end alone. The alien's body trembled again, its strength fading. Ethan squeezed its hand tighter. "You're not alone now," he said firmly. The alien's eyes shimmered, a faint glow in the darkness. "Warm one, thank you," it whispered. Its head rested against his chest plate again. Ethan held it carefully, feeling how light it was. He didn't know how much longer it had, but he knew one thing. Every moment from now until the end would not be silent, not be lonely. For the first time in his life, Ethan realized something. He wasn't just saving the alien. The alien was saving him too, saving him from his own emptiness, his own silent nights. In giving comfort, he had found purpose, and in that strange connection, in that fragile bond, they both found strength. The chamber shook again, louder this time, the ship groaning as if ready to collapse. Ethan looked up, fear sparking in his chest. Time was running out, but when he looked back down at the alien, he saw peace in its eyes. It didn't care about the ship or the danger. It only cared that he stayed. And Ethan whispered again, voice steady now, "I'm here until the end." The choice. The chamber groaned again, a long metal scream echoing through the broken walls. Ethan's scanner flashed red warnings across his visor. The alien ship was collapsing, its core losing power. If he stayed too long, he would not leave alive. But when he looked down at the fragile being in his arms, leaving felt impossible. The alien's glowing eyes flickered open once more, faint but aware. It whispered, "Go before the ship falls. Leave me." Ethan shook his head firmly. "No, I can't do that." The alien tried to lift its weak hand, but failed. "You will die too. Your warmth will fade here." Its voice was calm, almost accepting. But Ethan felt his chest tighten with anger. "No one deserves to die alone," he said through gritted teeth. The alien blinked slowly. My kind do not choose. They leave the weak behind. Its voice trembled. But you, human, you stay, even when you should run. Ethan held its hand tighter. I'm not leaving you, he said, but his words carried doubt, because he knew staying meant death for both. His mind raced. His ship had a medkit, oxygen tanks, even a power cell that might help. But the problem was clear. His supplies were limited, meant for one human, not for an alien whose body worked in ways he did not understand. If he gave too much, he might not survive his own journey home. If he gave too little, the alien would fade in minutes. It was a cruel balance, a knife-edge choice. The alien coughed again, glowing blood staining Ethan's gloves. Its voice was faint, barely audible. Why risk your life for mine? Ethan stared into its glowing eyes. Because he had been there. Because he remembered lying on a battlefield, wounded, abandoned, waiting for help that never came. He remembered the silence of that night, the fear of closing his eyes and never opening them again. He whispered, because I know how it feels to be left behind. The alien's lips curved weakly, a fragile smile. Warm one, you are strange and kind, it said. Its voice cracked as its body shook. I don't want to fade yet. Ethan's throat burned. He reached for his scanner again, adjusting settings. The life sign was slipping fast. Seconds mattered. He thought about the power cell in his ship. It could recharge life systems for days, but it was his backup, the only thing keeping his ship alive if the core failed. If he gave it away, he might never make it back to human space. It was his lifeline. The ship trembled again, throwing dust down from the ceiling. Ethan clenched his jaw, torn between survival and compassion. His thoughts screamed at him. Save yourself, you have to live. But his heart whispered back, no one should die alone. The alien looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. It seemed to sense his struggle. You have a choice, it whispered softly. You can walk away, no one will blame you. Not even me. Its hand trembled, tightening weakly around his. But if you stay, I will not fade in fear. The words cut through him like fire. This wasn't just about saving a life. It was about what kind of person he wanted to be, a man who turned away, or a man who gave warmth even in the darkest night. Ethan's chest rose and fell as he made his choice. His hands trembled as he spoke. I'll risk it, he whispered. I'll give you what I can. I won't let you die alone. The alien's glowing eyes widened slightly. You would give your life for me, it asked softly. Ethan shook his head. Not give share, he said. If I make it, I make it. If not, at least we faced it together. The alien's body shivered, glowing faintly brighter. Its voice cracked with emotion. No one has ever spoken so. It pressed its head weakly against his chest plate. You truly are warm, human. Ethan pulled out a cable from his belt, connecting it to the pod's remains. He knew it wouldn't be perfect, but he could channel some power from his own suit's reserves. His system flashed warnings as he rerouted energy. Oxygen levels dropped slightly, heat dipped lower. But the alien shuddered and breathed deeper. Its glow steadied for a moment. Ethan let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. The alien opened its eyes again, stronger than before. Its voice was still weak, but steadier. You gave part of yourself, it whispered. Ethan nodded. Yeah, and I'll give more if I have to. The alien's eyes shimmered like stars. Then, you're not just human, you are more. The chamber shook violently again, the ship crumbling around them. Ethan knew the danger was far from over. But in that fragile moment, something had changed. The alien no longer looked like a dying stranger. It looked like a companion, someone bound to him in the most fragile, human way. The choice was made, and with it, Ethan knew his life was no longer his alone. He had shared it, given a part of himself to keep another alive. And in the silence of the collapsing ship, he felt something new rise in his chest. Not fear, not despair, but resolve. He would fight for this life beside him, no matter the cost. Holding on, the ship groaned like a wounded giant, each tremor shaking dust and fragments from the ceiling. Warning lights flickered across Ethan's visor, telling him the structure would not last much longer. But he refused to look away from the fragile being in his arms. Its glow had steadied a little after he shared his power, but its breaths were still shallow, fragile as broken glass. The alien's head rested weakly against his chest plate, its eyes half open, glowing faintly in the darkness. "You gave me your strength," it whispered. Ethan's voice was low, firm. "I told you, I'm not leaving you alone." The alien's trembling lips curved in the faintest smile. "Warm one, you are stubborn." Another shudder ran through the vessel, throwing Ethan against the cracked wall. He shielded the alien with his body, gritting his teeth. His suit alarms screamed about low oxygen and falling power. He ignored them, focusing only on the soft glow of the alien's skin against the dark. The alien raised a weak hand, brushing clumsily against Ethan's helmet. Its touch was trembling but deliberate. "You carry fear, but not for yourself," it whispered slowly. "You fear for me." Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to deny it, but he couldn't. "Yes," he admitted quietly. "I don't want you to die." The alien closed its glowing eyes, a faint light flickering under its fragile lids. "Then hold me until the end," it whispered. Its words struck deep, heavier than the shaking walls or the alarms blaring in his ears. Ethan's chest ached, his own loneliness rising like a tide inside him. For years he had carried silence, nights with no voices, no touch, no warmth. Now, in this dying ship, he was holding another who feared the same emptiness. He pulled the alien closer, holding it as gently as he could. "You're not alone," he whispered. "Not anymore." The alien shivered faintly, but its breathing slowed into something calmer. For a moment, despite the chaos around them, there was peace. Images flickered again through Ethan's mind. Not violent, not chaotic, but soft. The alien's memories flowed into him like whispers. A child running under stars, a family gathered around glowing crystals, voices singing in harmony. Moments of joy, moments of laughter. Then silence, darkness, abandonment. Ethan's eyes burned as he held those memories. He realized he wasn't just holding the alien's body, he was holding its entire past, its entire grief. The alien stirred weakly, its voice faint. "Do you see my home?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, I see it." The alien's trembling lips curved again. "Then I am not forgotten." Ethan swallowed hard. "You'll never be forgotten," he said. "I'll remember you, even if no one else does." The alien's glowing eyes shimmered with tears. "Then my end will not be empty." The ship shook violently again, a deep groan running through the walls. Ethan's scanner flashed another warning. Time was almost gone. He could flee. He could escape to his ship while there was still a chance. But when he looked down at the alien clinging weakly to him, he knew there was no choice left to make. He tightened his arms around it, holding it steady. The alien's voice grew softer, fading. "Warm one, no one of my kind would do this." Ethan's voice broke as he whispered. "Then they've forgotten what it means to care." The alien's glow flickered again, its body trembling. "But you remember." Its weak hand pressed once more against Ethan's helmet. "You are light in the dark," it whispered faintly. Then its eyes closed again, its breathing shallow and slow. Ethan shook his head, panic rising. "No, stay with me," he whispered. "I'm here, don't go." He pressed his forehead against the alien's, the cold glass of his helmet resting against its glowing skin. His voice cracked. "You're not dying alone. Do you hear me? You're not." The alien's body trembled, then relaxed slightly. Its voice came one last time, barely a breath. "Then, I'm not afraid." Ethan felt tears sting his eyes. The chamber shook again, cracks spreading across the walls. The alarm screamed louder, but none of it mattered. He sat there in the ruins of a dying ship, holding a life that was slipping away. And for the first time in years, he did not feel alone. The silence between them was not empty. It was full of memory, of sorrow, of connection. full of the bond that had formed in the last fragile moments. Two lives holding onto each other, refusing to let go. And as the dust rained down around him, Ethan whispered again, "I'm here. I'm not letting go." The alien did not answer, but its faint glow lingered in his arms. A light against the dark, fragile, fading, but never forgotten. The legacy. The alien's glow was faint now, like the last flame of a candle. Its breathing was shallow, each rise of its chest weaker than the last. Ethan held it close, ignoring the alarms screaming inside his helmet, ignoring the way the ship groaned like it was about to collapse. Nothing else mattered in that moment, only the fragile life in his arms. The alien opened its eyes one final time, glowing softly. "Warm one," it whispered, its voice broken but calm. Ethan leaned closer, his chest tight. "I'm here," he whispered back. The alien's trembling hand reached for something near its chest. Slowly, with great effort, it pulled free a small crystal, glowing faintly with blue light. It pressed the crystal weakly into Ethan's hand. "Take this," it said. Ethan frowned, his hand shaking as he accepted it. "What is it?" he asked softly. The alien's eyes shimmered with fading tears. "My memory, my people, our songs, our stories, all inside." Ethan stared at the crystal, the light pulsing like a tiny heartbeat. "This is your whole world," he whispered. The alien smiled faintly. "Now it will live in you." Its voice trembled as it added, "Promise me, you will remember." Ethan's throat burned as he tightened his grip on the crystal. "I promise," he said firmly. "I'll remember you. I'll carry your story." The alien let out a soft, broken laugh. "No human has ever held my hand before," it whispered. "No one has ever stayed." Its eyes began to close, the glow dimming further. Ethan's voice cracked as he held it tighter. "You're not alone. Not now. Not ever." The alien's final breath escaped like a sigh of peace. Its body relaxed completely in his arms. The glow across its skin faded into stillness. But the faint light of the crystal in his hand remained. Ethan sat there in silence, tears filling his eyes. He had seen death before, but never like this. This time, death had come not as an enemy, but as a reminder that even in the darkest void, connection mattered more than survival. The ship groaned louder, pieces of the ceiling cracking apart. Ethan forced himself to stand, the alien's body still in his arms. But he knew he could not carry both the crystal and the body back to his ship. His chest ached as he lowered the alien gently onto the floor of the chamber. He placed its hands over its chest, tucking them carefully. For a moment, it looked like it was only asleep. Ethan whispered, voice breaking, "Rest now, you're not forgotten." He stepped back, holding the crystal tightly. The chamber shook again, a final warning. Ethan turned and ran, the corridors crumbling behind him. Dust and sparks rained down as he raced through the alien halls. The voice no longer called to him, but its echo lived in his mind. "Please hold me. I don't want to die alone," he whispered as he ran. "I held you. I stayed." At last he reached the airlock, sealing it shut behind him. He stumbled back into his own ship, collapsing into the pilot's chair. The alien vessel groaned one last time before the sensors showed it breaking apart. Pieces drifted into the void, glowing faintly before fading into silence. Ethan sat there, clutching the crystal in both hands. Its light pulsed softly, steady and alive. A heartbeat that was no longer alone. He stared at it, whispering softly, "You're with me now." The crystal glowed brighter, as if answering. And for the first time in many years, Ethan felt warmth in the emptiness of space. Days later, as he traveled through the endless dark, he often replayed the alien's final words in his mind. No human has ever stayed. He had stayed, and that choice had changed everything. Not only for the alien, but for himself. He was no longer just a wanderer, no longer just a survivor. He was a carrier of a legacy, a bridge between two species who had once been strangers. Every night, before sleep, Ethan would hold the crystal close. Sometimes faint sounds would drift from it, soft songs, echoes of laughter, whispers of voices he did not understand. But he didn't need to understand. He only needed to remember, and he had promised he would. One night, as he sat staring at the stars, he whispered softly, "No one should die alone, not human, not alien." The words hung in the silence of his cabin. And for the first time in his long journey, he felt he was not speaking to emptiness. He was speaking to someone still with him, glowing faintly in his hand. The alien had left him more than a memory. It had left him purpose. And Ethan Cole, once just a lonely engineer drifting through the stars, now carried the voice of another world. A voice that would never be silenced.